Well, today we're going to have a very interesting review from three different promotions. One is, in fact, Gatoh Move Pro Wrestling with their latest ChocoPro event that they had. Also, the debut of AEW Dark Elevation featuring Paul Wight as a commentator. And also, we're still continuing on with the New Japan Cup by New Japan Pro Wrestling. So all of that will be reviewed, discussed, and talked about on this episode of Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Welcome everybody to Deleted Wrestle Zone. All things that it's pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, Impact Wrestling, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I'm your host, Jay, right here. So let's begin with Gatoh Move Pro Wrestling with their latest ChocoPro event, number 97. Now, for those who don't know what is Gatoh Move Pro Wrestling, this is a promotion from Emi Sakura, who eventually formed it after she left Ice Ribbon, which is her promotion that she started with. But recently they have two different top events: the standard regular wrestling match, and then there's ChocoPro, which is a brown mat that kind of like you use when we do amateur wrestling, that sort of thing. It's a real fun event, but if you guys haven't seen it, I'll try to put maybe two events on the description below and see what you guys tell me. But for now, let's start with this one, number 97. Now, basically, this is a very interesting event. First match, we have Chikoishi Kawa and Emi Sakura facing off against Sayuri and Chon Shuri, Shaoru. I think that's his name. So anyway, it was more of a intergender type of match, since one team has a male wrestler, but it was a real fun event. Now keep in mind, this type of event, there's no audience. In the past they did, but because of the restrictions, they decided to do this only live on YouTube. You can still catch it. All you gotta do is go to Gatoh Move Wrestling. But the match was kind of insane. I wasn't sure. Now, in the part of me that would think Emi Sakura wins, is this her promotion? But no, it's a real fun event. Mostly I've been watching how this guy Chon, he's the most dominant one out of all of them. Like, he's using the kung fu type of thing. It's a real fun event if you guys haven't seen it. But however, because of that, it did allow him and his partner to win the match. Now the main event, we have there was only two matches involved in this one, but if you guys get to see it, I'll try to put the description down below so you guys can get to see it down the line. Now, we have Lulu Pencil and Minoru Fujita, who I've seen before, I think in either in DDT or somewhere else, I'm not sure, taking on Best Bros, which is the current tag team champions from this promotion. Mei Suguro, who you guys may have seen at the AEW Women's Eliminator against Yuka, and of course her partner, Balian Aki. Now, in this particular match, it was so interesting. It appears that Lulu and Minoru were having a little, how do I say, teasing towards Mei Suguro. Mei is losing her temper. Balian was trying to keep her cool, but some points it did work, some points it didn't. But the match was so intense. I was so having fun with it. However, I think the best moment is when Lulu and Minoru were able to separate Mei Suguro away from Balian, and they kind of sent him on the other side of the building. Well, other side of the wall, because there's two windows that they slide it open, so he was locked out. So Mei Suguro somehow, some way, was able to win the match. And as soon as the match is over, he knocked at the window and he asked, "Did he win?" Oh, good. So that was a pretty good, interesting matchup, because you don't know what to expect in these type of events. It's a real fun event. Now, if you guys don't like it, that's fine. But like I said, I will put the Link to it on the on the description below, so you guys can get a very clear idea what ChocoPro for Gatoh Move does. A real fun event. I'm not gonna lie, but it's really fun to do. But I also will put another clip where you see AEW Women's Champion Hikaru Shida being the guest referee in the main event for that one. So, I think that's it right now for Gatoh Move Pro Wrestling. I say let's move on to the debut AEW Dark Elevation. Alright, so we've got All Elite Wrestling right now. So they debuted their latest show on YouTube, which is called AEW Dark Elevation. Now, I know some of you saying why they call it Elevation. Well, it's because they're trying to give more exposure to some of the newer wrestlers that we see on the independent scenes. You know, like these are wrestlers that may not be in the contract, but they have their eyes on them, or sort of thing. Or those who are not appeared on Dynamite yet, or they haven't, but we'll just wait and see how they go. Now, Paul Wight, who we know him as the Big Show, this is his debut as a color commentator. But I'll tell you guys, I think he did a pretty good job as a color commentator, because normally we wouldn't see a guy like him, but he did mention on an interview with a podcast interview with Renee, who is in fact John Moxley's wife, kind of explained that this is something he really wanted to do. But he did state he will do some wrestling, but don't know when that will happen. But I have to say, it's real fun. So let's just move forward from start to finish on this particular one. First match, we had Danny Limelight and Jungle Boy. Great match. I have to say these guys have almost similar styles. But Big Show even mentioned he met Danny Limelight during one of the USO shows that they've done in the past with WWE. It's a real fun insight from him to know about him. But I have to say this match was great. Now, you could see the Jungle Boy is kind of like the fan favorite. So that kind of gave away a little bit that you can tell, oh, he's going to win this match. And he did when he did the snare trap on him. Great submission. I have to say that is a great submission move for him to pick up a victory. Next match, we have Miro and Kip Sabian, along with Penelope Ford, taking on Baron Black and Vadi Morales. Now, this match, recently we have been seeing Miro not in a good mood, not since his little rivalry with Chuck Taylor and Orange Cassidy, but we're yet to hear from them. Are they going to give Chuck and Orange Cassidy their last fateful match? And of course, will he accept the bet? We don't know. However, at some point in the match, Miro lost control, but he did allow Kip to pick up the victory for his team. So basically, it's more like, okay, I lost control. I'm going to calm down. You take over. That sort of thing. So basically, Miro's like a real pissed off guy, the way you see it. But it played pretty well on that part. Next match, we have Big Swole versus Skylar Moore. I have to say Skylar Moore has improved just a little bit. I know she's not signed with AEW, but if you guys must know, her boyfriend is in fact King Serpentico. If you guys ever followed them on your social media, you can tell. But I have to say she has improved a little bit. But however, Big Swole, come on, you can't deny her abilities. But I know that we should see her on the hunt for the AEW the women's title. That is something we definitely got to see. I say we should see her now going for that. But we don't know when that will happen. I hope they do this soon. Next, they kind of already revealed something that that's been talking about in the AEW game section. They finally put out that AEW Casino Double or Nothing. You can finally have it on your phones if you got mobile phones. I'm kind of debating on that right now for me. I'm not much of playing the slots and all that stuff, but if it's involved AEW, maybe I'm for it, but I'm still debating. But that's up to you guys if you want that. But we'll see down the line in the future when that comes up. Now, the next match is between Marco Stunt and QT Marshall. Now, QT Marshall, before the start of this match, he did state he did not want to talk about his recent attitude. We know that he eliminated the members of the Gun Club, who were also members of the Nightmare family, He spit at Dustin Rhodes, and of course, he eliminated himself. And recently with Lee Johnson, he left him in the dust, like just letting him take the fall. So he did not explain his action because he kind of decided to avoid that and focus his match on Marco Stunt. I have to say, there were some great moments we see with QT Marshall with his size, how he handled Marco Stunt. But Marco Stunt, we all know, don't let the size fool you. That's always been one of those key elements about Marco. But frankly, it was in fact, how do I say, QT that pulled off some sort of like a brainbuster type, lift him up, and then he switched it to a diamond cutter. And this allowed him to win the match. But however, in post-match, Marco was attacked by Avalon, Benoni, and of course, Meneth. And QT just stood there doing nothing. And here comes Luchasaurus to the rescue. But it's still unclear what is going on with QT. I'm like, all right. But we'll see what happens. Next match is a women's match. We got Tay Conti along with the leader of the Dark Order, -1, taking on Ashley Voss. I have to say, in this particular match, I did like in the background how -1's attitude is. Like, he's basically just sitting around, just enjoying the match, seeing Tay Conti kicking butt. Even though she's not a member, but she's associated with herself with the Dark Order. It's kind of similar to what we have with Hangman, you know? But it's so fun to see -1. But I have to say, Tay Conti, she never ceased to amaze me with her abilities as a trained Muay Thai and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu expert, and that kind of helped her a lot to win her match. Next match, we have the Sydal brothers, Matt and Mike, taking on Joel Nelson and Royce Isaacs. I have mentioned about Royce Isaacs before on NWA, and of course the recent appearance with GCW's Josh Barnett's Bloodsport on 4 and 5. Not much to go on, but I have to say, I will tell you anyway, of course, it was the Sydal brothers winning their match. Great match as always by them in any other way. I'm like thinking they should call themselves the Psy brothers instead of Sydal, Psy, because it's a lot more simpler for me. Hopefully, if I can tell them that, I probably think they should go with that. Now, Hobbs had an interview regarding his match with Cutler. He's not worried about it, so he's more like, enough with this this shit about Cutler, me interview. You know where I'm coming from. We're not here to play games. So basically, Hobbs is giving a statement saying, games are over. It's time for the real stuff. So that's what he's been going for. But that match is a little later. Next match is another women's match. We got the Mean Girl, Danny Jordan, taking on, straight out of your mama's kitchen, Red Velvet. I have to say, Red Velvet never ceased to amaze me. You know what I mean? She is also like the small size girl, but please do not let the size fool you. She is on fire. And I have to say, she really impresses a lot of people. I know some of you say, I know she said in the past, from her recent interview with the AEW Unrestricted, that people never took it seriously because of her size. But come on. You think size matters in wrestling? Hell no. But Red Velvet always impresses me with, she has a lot of fire. And I have to say, this is why she is a really good wrestler to pay attention upon. And she continues to impress me a lot. So Red Velvet won her match. Next match we have, well, not the next match. We see an interview with the Sydal brothers, happy and all this and that, but all of a sudden, here comes Kenny Omega, along with Michael Nakasawa, who's now the assistant of Kenny and his best friend, along with the Invisible Hand Don Callis. So basically, he wanted to give a chance to Matt Sydal to face not Michael Nakasawa. If he faces him, then he will face Kenny, and if he beats Kenny, he gets a title shot. So basically, Matt Sydal ended up wrestling in 2 matches, but we'll get to that in a bit. Now we get to a very interesting match. We have Dante Martin of Top Flight, his brother Darius. Heard that he might have got injured, but we'll see it happen. But he's facing off against the other half of the Acclaim, Platinum Max Caster, I have to say, Dante really impresses me with his high flying skills a lot. He really is really great, but Max Caster continues to be a great heel. Dissing people, I think that's one of the great things that we miss. I'm not sure if I think him doing that rap dissing thing fits perfectly for him because it kind of gives him like that attitude. But of course, Max Caster continues to show his impressive ways. Don't know if Anthony Bowen is out or he wasn't booked. Not sure, but Max Caster won his match. Next match, we got the Scary Queen, Abaddon, taking on Ray Lynn. Yeah, basically, even Big Show said he was. Excuse me. Even Paul Wight said he's scared of her. He said he wouldn't mess around with her, but Ray Lynn, she does whatever she can to win. But however, Abaddon doesn't seems to stay down, and it did allow her to win her match with that one move that she has on her back, and that. So she continues to impress us, but I don't know what in her rank if she's not in the rankings. But I have to say, she's the most scariest person that you want to meet. But Abaddon won her match. Next match, we got Powerhouse Hobbs with Hook facing Brandon Color, but you guys can guess he ate him up alive. Powerhouse Hobbs always makes a statement, but he allowed himself to win the match. Next match, we had another women's match. We have Diamante versus Layla Gray. Now, from what I can hear from the commentators, Layla Gray only has 5 months of experience in pro wrestling. I'm not sure if that was a good combination to have her in. But however, she did show a little bit of what she can do. But however, the match ended up in favor of Diamante. Not sure what happened to Ivelisse. I'm not sure if the last time she tagged with her she got hurt or so. But I'll find out once I know more. Next match, we have an 8-man tag team match. First team, we got Carly Bravo, Dean Alexander, Brick Aldridge, and David Ali taking on the Butch and the Blade Private Party, along with Matt Hardy and the Bunny. In this particular match, you can tell now they're becoming a force to be reckoned with. The Butcher, the Blade, and Party Hardy, along with Matt Hardy. It kind of fits into the perfect mold because you can see that Matt Hardy is still upset that he lost his first quarter earnings, and he's pissed off that the Dark Order interfere in his plans towards Matt Hardy, but it is what it is, and he said this is not over between them. So we'll see where they're gonna go, but in this case, they won the match. Now we have Michael Nakasawa versus Matt Sydal. Now I can tell you right away, Matt Sydal won, but however, this is the part that makes it more interesting in this whole thing. Kenny Omega shows up and attacks Matt Sydal, but the bell wasn't rung. He decided to give him the match that says if you beat me, you get a title opportunity, thinking, oh, too bad, you're not going to get it. But for the first time ever, Tony Khan decides to get involved. He had it with Kenny, saying you give these opportunities, but you don't promise them. So he decided that in 9 days, Matt Sydal will challenge him. But however, if Matt Sydal wins the match, he will get a title shot for the AEW World Title. Kenny doesn't like it, but I'm still waiting to see what Don Callis is going to do. I know for a fact Don Callis is not going to like that 1-2 bit, that he will do whatever it takes to block that or stop it. Don't know when will that happen, but we'll see. Now we get to the main event. This is the one that I love so much. Maki Ito, the cutest girl in the world, versus Rio. I have to say, everybody got into the music of Maki Ito, including Paul Wight and what's it, Tony Schiavone. But the match itself was unbelievably good. There was moments where I saw where Maki actually does the Kokeshi, and it's unbelievably how there was a moment where Rio, her flexibility, how she gets out with, doing that thing with the stretch on her back. Maki Ito kind of counter it, with the Kokeshi. I have to say, great match, great to watch. I know some of you guys will love to see Maki Ito be in AEW, but frankly, she has to go back to Japan. But the match was great, I have to say, and Rio pulled off an amazing win. I know fans would love to see Maki Ito come back, I'm sure, but she did state that her popularity is known in the U.S., but it still hasn't hit her. Keep in mind, the reason it hasn't is because right now we're still dealing with the pandemic, and sooner or later we might see her come back. I would love to see her more. I know you guys too. And not to mention, she appeared on the latest BTE and Sammy's vlogs. So I think that's pretty much it right now with AEW Elevation. It was a good show. Main event was the best. So let's move on with New Japan Pro Wrestling. Okie dokie, so we continue more with New Japan Pro Wrestling and more on the New Japan Cup. We're getting closer and closer to the end. I'm excited. I hope you guys excited. So let's start with the 15th of March. From there, let's go from the start to finish on that. First match, we got Bullet Club, Yado, Taiji Shimori, and Kenta taking on Suzuki-gun, Doiki, El Desperado, and Minoru Suzuki. Now, as you know previously, Kenta beat Minoru Suzuki, but you can tell by Minoru Suzuki that this thing between them is far, far from over. However, Doiki still has his issues with Yado. But however, that's not the only problem. Taiji Shimori is looking at the man who beat one half of the tag team that beat him and Phantasmo for the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Tag Team titles, and he has the one title that he wants back. And I'm talking about the Junior Heavyweight title that he won during that vacant triple threat match. But that match was so insane. It did allow for Suzuki-gun to continue, but however, the issues with Kenta and Minoru seems like it's far from over. They even try to separate them, but no luck. But I'm sure Kenta will not appreciate Minoru Suzuki, but however, he could gloat at him all he wants that he beat him last time in the New Japan Cup. But Kenta, just be careful what you do. Next match, we have the United Empire, Khan, Cobb, and Ospreay, along with B, taking on Suzuki-guns, Kanemaru, Taichi, and Zack Sabre Jr. Keep in mind, Zack Sabre Jr. broke Will Ospreay's nose, but this time, I don't think Will hasn't forgotten, but this did allow for United Empire to win, thanks to the helping hand of Jeff Cobb, who always makes the win for his team. He always ends it with the Tour of the Islands. But however, from the way I can see it, Great Khan has great belief that Will Ospreay will bring pride to the Empire if he wins the cup. So he's like the only one standing. Cobb even believes that he was robbed by Evil for what he did. But we'll see what happens. Next match, we got LIJ, Bushi, Tagagi, and Sanada taking on Taguchi, Goto, and Nagata. Now keep in mind, Sanada had a tough match against Nagata in the previous event. Great match on it, but however, it's still the same result. LIJ won their match, and it's unbelievably. I don't know if we ever see Sanada will come across Yuji again for another singles match. I mean, it would be another dope match, but I can't wait to see when that day comes. But I'm excited for it. Now we get to the two matches for the New Japan Cup. This is the second round. First match, we got Yoshihashi versus David Finlay. This is one of those matches you definitely have to pay attention. Now, these guys, I don't know, as you know, I talk about Yoshihashi many times over. How he's evolved all of 2020, finally winning a championship belt. He's 1/3 of the 6-man never open weight tag team champions with Goto and Ishii. And I have to say, he's always been unbelievable. David Finlay, he is now 1/2 of the Impact World tag team champions with Juice. I have to say, but Juice was right there giving him support. It was a great match, but the real question is, who was going to come on top? Was it Yoshihashi or David Finlay? To me, I was a bit biased on both, but I enjoyed the match. Awesome match. It did land it in Finlay's favor, and he advances in the New Japan Cup. So, and whoever wins that, but his opponent will be somewhere between, I think Finlay Wight and Tanahashi. I think that's pretty much the rub of it. But yeah, now the next match, Jay White versus Tanahashi. Now, Jay White has been trying to convince Tanahashi, lay on your back, let him win, because he believes it's his destiny to win and trying to stop Ibushi from unifying the titles. But it was a great, solid match because you can tell Jay White will stop at nothing to fulfill his destiny to be champion once again. But however, he has to get through the one man who has beat him before that he faced countless times. But however, this is not a match you don't want to miss. But it was unbelievably good. I did not expect it that it was going to land in Jay White's favor. But it appears that he may continue on to get what he wants to win the New Japan Cup. But we'll see how far he's going to go. There's many other competitors I would love to see. So let's move on with the next one that led to the quarterfinals. So let's do that right now. Okay, I'm going to end it here with the other New Japan event that they had on the 16th of March, which is today. And soon I'm going to have to watch AEW Dark and Impact Wrestling, but that will be the next episode after that. So, opening match on this one was all three young lions, Umura, Kid, and Tsuji, taking on the veterans, Nagata, Kojima, and Tenzan. Now, I don't have to tell you how that match was, but you can guess right away if you guys are New Japan fans. You can guess it's the Masters, the veterans, who won the match. That has always been that way. So, now you know. And I saved you the trouble. Next match, we have Bullet Club. Chase Owens, Bad Luck Fale, Jay White, along with Ghetto, taking on Hinare, Juice, and David Finlay. Now, I did confirm, now it's been told, Jay White will face David Finlay. And of course, you know Jay White likes to brag about saying this is going to be his Japan Cup time. Like, this is still his era. But, of course, David Finlay has to get into... He's trying to get into his head a lot. That's what Jay White does. But, however, you know for a fact that this match was going to end in the favor of Bullet Club because that's all he does. But, however, David Finlay knows he has to face Jay White down the line. But we'll see what happens when that day comes. Next match. We got United Empire, Cobb and Ospreay, taking on LJ, Bushi, and Sonata. Now, Ospreay, as I mentioned before, is still recovering from a broken nose that he obtained by Zack Sabre Jr. in the second round. He told Sonata to watch for the nose. But of course, Sonata is not going to oblige to the wishes of one man. But however, the match was ended in another victory by Cobb, pinning Bushi. Now, however, post-match, Ospreay confronted Sonata, giving him a piece of his mind. But what happens next is the classic for me. Sonata flipped off Ospreay right in his face, telling him, "Who gets an effing about your nose?" And I think Ospreay just gasped. Like I say, Sonata doesn't care. But I do believe that those two will meet in the quarterfinals. Which I'm kind of excited to see. But I know for you fans, you probably say, break his nose. I personally would say that. Now we get to the last two matches in the New Japan Cup for the quarterfinals. We got Evil versus Toru Yano. Now, you can guess Toru Yano has to find a new bag of tricks. You know, Evil will do whatever it takes to win. He wants to reclaim what was taken from him. I'm talking about both titles. Now, the simplest question I ask myself, does Evil support the idea of unifying both titles, or he support of not unifying the titles, just like Jay White? But that's a question we can answer at another time when the day comes when that happens. But however, I think the biggest moment, it's when the lights turned off. Now, in the back of my mind, I'm thinking it has to be Khan because he wasn't there. The reason I say that to myself was because I don't think Khan will forget that he had to cut his own ponytails, all thanks to Yano. But it turns out it was it was Dick Togo who turned off the lights, allowing for Evil to pick up the victory. That kind of spoiled the moment for me, because I was hoping it was Khan. But however, Evil advances. Thanks a lot, Togo. You ruined it for me. Now we get to the most interesting match, Kenta versus Shingo Takagi. Another solid, great match. I have to say, a very hard-hitting match. You got Kenta, a great striker. Shingo Takagi, who is now strong style type. He's using the strongness on that. To me, I felt Shingo could be one of maybe now 3 people who could win the New Japan Cup. And the first 2 I mentioned was Jay White and Sonata. But now I started to think, okay, it's Shingo. But however, in this match, it kind of feels that way to me when Shingo beat Kenta. So it was one of the greatest matches I've seen so far, coming out of Shingo's part. But however, post-match, it was later revealed who is he gonna face next in the New Japan Cup. And surprise, surprise, I'm talking about LIJ's defector, the traitor, Evil. Shingo, I don't think Shingo hasn't forgotten what Evil did. He turned on LIJ but however, Evil and Dick Togo showed up and they applied the magic killer on him. This is some straight up message. Now, Nico and I have talked about this. We do know that Evil is in fact the last year's winner. But he feels like Evil is too overrated and he needs to bump off. But the real question is, can Shingo defeat Evil? Put him in his place. All we got to do is wait and see what that's going to happen. Because I'm really, really curious to see this match between those two. Former teammates, now enemy. So, I think that's it for all of you guys. So stay tuned for the next episode where I'll be doing Tuesday Wrestling. And I think that's pretty much it. So for now, I'll see you guys in the next DWZ time on this DWZ channel. So I must bid all of you adieu. So goodbye. Mwah. And have a nice day. Bang.